Hey guys, this is Matt Byer, Chief Operating Officer with AFC Fitness, and I'm with Jaime Billerman, our Chief Administrative Officer for AFC Fitness. Today, we're going to kind of take a look at and discuss the operational side of the business in AFC Fitness from kind of our two perspectives and the things that we run, do, and look out for with AFC Fitness. So with that, I'll kind of get it started. So, Jane, with looking at operationals from your end and then from my end, I'm going to go through like just some scenarios or questions and you give me your, that drives me nuts, I love that, or what am I looking for perspective, and I'll kind of give you mine.
Perfect.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when a member walks in the door, what are the little details that they may not even notice, but that you notice or want to be part of their experience?
Well, so the first thing is almost like the things they shouldn't notice that like make everything better. So like when you walk in the door, you should feel like the air conditioning. The lights should be on. The front desk person should be there and greeting you. And those things, like if you're running into a class, you might not notice them, but the second that you needed something and it wasn't there, you would absolutely notice them and that would drive you crazy. So
Yeah.
I want to avoid all of those things from the second you walk in.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's definitely like the times, it's almost because we always use like the member journey thing, but like the fact that they come in and just have a good experience and they go to class or they go work out and then they leave and there was no issues, they may not have noticed.
Right.
But that's because we all did our job, right? From the very top, the cleaning crew, the opening crew, the front desk crew, everything was just as expected. And sometimes as expected is the experience.
Of course.
And when things are bad, that's when things get thrown out of whack, right? The member journey gets thrown out of whack. So 100% agree with him. What about from like an employee perspective? What do you want to see from the team when a member's walking into a club?
Well, I'm a stickler. I love to see a uniform and a name tag.
Yep.
That's kind of just how I was raised in AFC Fitness, so
Sure.
I do expect it. I love to see someone that's smiling, and usually I love to see someone who's genuinely in conversation with a member and it's just all's going well. They're helping them the way they need to, or sometimes they're just chit-chatting about like their day, because we do have such a great community here that I think our members really love our employees and they really like to talk to them. So when I see that like joyfulness between the two, that really is like a highlight for me.
No, I agree with it. I mean, just being present and being available, right, is kind of one of the biggest things. Obviously, uniform and name tag, that's been ingrained into our heads for sure. But just being available and being there and engaging with the members, from a building perspective, which is obviously a lot of what I deal with. I look at the little things, right? The cleaning, the floor mats are not crooked, and like little details like that, especially walking into the clubs. What do the outside of the clubs look like? Are all those things lined up? And those are things that I notice. And sometimes I think a lot of our staff might notice. And I think that those all feed into the experience for the member, right? That it feels clean. It feels ready for me to come into the club and have my time at the gym.
One of the biggest things that we've both done, and that is the opening of Ratner.
Yeah.
Because that was an empty building.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That was, and I wonder, like, that one was, I mean, I've done new builds before, and I think that why that one, I don't want to say it's lesser because it was a huge deal, but because it wasn't open, like I think one of the things that people lose sight of is navigating some of these big projects while still making sure that the building is available.
That's true.
Or that staff can work their shifts, or that members can get in. Yeah. And so the open building projects sometimes always weigh a little bit heavier. The Radnor project was a blast. Right? Like that was fun. I mean, there was days, right? But just like there is with any construction, but that was a lot of fun, but you're able to do it without disruption a little bit, and we're able to get it just right and do the things that we wanted to do. And obviously the team that we have there was a big part of that. But the ones where we're open and operating, those can be tricky.
Well, so that was my only brand new build.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why it's kind of higher up
Okay,
my
fair
list,
enough.
because
Yeah.
that was the only time I'd ever done it.
Yeah.
Everything else, when we got Feasterville, it was an open club and we just basically rebranded and started fresh. But Radnor was from the ground up, and it was, you're right, we had the time to kind of envision things and make them happen, which was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, I guess, matter of perspective. But yeah, those things are always kind of front of mind. All right. So going kind of staying on that operational and challenges perspective. So running these clubs, they're kind of all like their own mini towns or cities, right? And they got a lot going on in them. What's something that would surprise people about keeping it all going that maybe you and I, or even just our managers behind the scenes, and whether it's would surprise staff or would surprise members, that we can kind of give them a little bit of insight into?
Well, I think one of the main things is like what you said, it's like running a city. There are so many moving parts,
Yeah.
like every single little thing. And as much as we are able to do in these buildings, half of the time we really are dependent upon someone else.
Mhm.
So if it's like something like a part has or something has gone down and we're waiting on a part, or we're waiting on a team who's waiting on a part, who's waiting on
Yeah.
overnight shipping, we're not choosing to delay it by 3 days.
Yeah.
We just kind of have to wait. As much as like we would love to be able to just fix things easily, we don't really have a magic wand.
Yeah.
These pieces all have to fit into the puzzle together to make things right.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, right? It's just sometimes the amount of work that goes into getting something very simple. I mean, I can't even name the amount of times that, Wilfrey had to go from Feasterville to Bala to get here and see that it was a $10 part that he then had to run out and try and get fixed in the same day. And that's a lot of work in one day for something very simple to make sure that it was up and running by the night. So those things happen all the time. One of the things, I mean, going back to the software stuff, but like even understanding the full complexity of some of those things that goes into it. But I think I always look at this from like our staff's perspective, what it takes for them to, the general managers and the schedules that they need to complete, and making sure that all parts are moving in the same direction. And, their ability to communicate, to me, I think is one of the biggest things is, you and I may have a conversation or a meeting, or we decide on a new strategy, and we get that to the general managers, right? But now they have to implement,
Yep.
train,
Yes.
and be consistent with whatever that is. And it can be from the recovery stuff that we're doing to, something that we're highlighting, or a new partnership in the complex. It can be a lot of different things. And sometimes a decision is not just a decision. There's a lot of that follows underneath.
The trickle effect is crazy.
Yeah.
You're just constantly passing it down from one level to the next level, to the staff, to the members, to the partners, to everybody. There's so many people that are affected by one decision in one email.
Right. Well, yeah. So I was thinking about this, like from the perspective, like, hey, we're going to start selling this now.
Yep.
Right. Or this is going to be an add-on now. Great. That means a lot.
Yeah.
As you continue to go down right now, it has to get put into the system. The staff needs to know what that is. You need your openers and your closers to understand, right? Because someone's going to come in at 9:30 at night and say, hey, I saw that you guys are doing recovery, or that I want to get towel service added on.
Yes.
And if that hasn't been communicated or trained to everyone across the board, then there's a missed opportunity there for the member, that person, to have a good experience.
Well, I will completely admit, I love ideas. I love people who come to me with ideas. I think that's how we've gotten some of the best things we've done over the years. But also every time somebody comes to me with an idea, I'm like, okay, but do you know that these 16 things stem from that one idea? And
you got to be fully ready.
You have to be ready, because you can't just turn it on like a light switch. You need to be like, okay, well, I want to do this, but this is the plan, and this is how I'm going to ensure all these steps go through the process.
Well, listen, I've said this a million times, and I know I still say it to the managers. Like, if we're going to sit down and have a meeting and go through a new idea,
make it.
If you leave here and you don't stay on top of it and push through and be consistent and make it, then the meeting wasn't worth it, and the time you're going to spend training everybody was worth it. So I think that that's always a key part for everybody. Is like, I think first me telling them I get it. Like, I know, like I've been there, and I know it takes a lot when a new idea comes out. So, but I think for everyone to realize, like, hey, SGT, or I mean, anything you can think of, reformers, or the sports complex, or, booking a court, and all the things, like there's a lot of communication and training that everyone needs to be on the same page with for something that seems very simple to work. Right.
And honestly, on the member side, it should seem simple.
Yeah,
they shouldn't see all of the stuff that goes into it. They should know, I want to do this. I'm going to tell somebody I want to do this, and they're going to make it happen.
Yeah. And it's like that anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there's a lot that goes on before what seems like a very simple thing or a new rollout
Actually.
happens for it to actually work out the way it needs to work out. The last 10 years have been interesting, to
Hmm.
say the least.
Yeah.
From your perspective, so whether
Hmm.
it's the member technology or the other stuff, the fitness industry as a whole, but more obviously specific to AFC, what name some of like the things that are completely different now from 10 years ago? So like just on an administrative operational end.
Well, if you're looking at administrative operationally, it's easily the technology.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I started here, we were using paper contracts
Right.
and we were taking copies of people's licenses and credit cards so that we made sure everything was entered correctly after you entered it 3 days after you got the
Right.
paper
A lot of filing
contract. A
cabinets.
lot of filing cabinets, a lot of files. When you took a training session, you had to get a little receipt and
Oh,
sign it and
yeah.
give it to your trainer. So they would staple them all to you had a sheet that said these were the 24 sessions with the dates and all 24 sessions had to be stapled to it. I mean, so just on the technology side, things have come way, way further.
Yeah.
You're using digital contracts, you're using digital calendars for things like PT sessions, you're making sure group exercise numbers that used to be in a little binder at the
Yeah.
front desk.
Signage.
Now that's all everybody's checking in on their app. So right off the bat, technology is easily the first one I'd have to think of.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's definitely the biggest
Yeah.
change I think from across the board, right? From our perspective, the employees' perspectives, and the members' perspectives, because it impacts all of them. When I'm looking at it from the building perspective of mine,
Well,
there's a lot.
here
You know,
especially.
well, I mean, just from a renovation perspective, it's Bala is a completely different building than it was 10 years ago. Radnor was not an AFC 10 years ago. And Feasterville has changed quite a bit, obviously, from us, you know, from the time that we've taken over there and the changes that we've made. I do think, like, even though from the back end stuff, though, like things that we've changed from the way we utilize, again, I guess this is technology, but from a facility standpoint, using some of the Microsoft platforms to communicate with each other, our ability to turn things quicker than we were able to before, some of the ordering procedures and the context that we do, even like if you remember when we switched everything to the LEDs and doing that in the building was a big project. And so there's just been so many changes to the clubs from a building and technology standpoint that, I mean, it's hard to list all of them. I mean, Bala is probably the easiest one to describe because the building itself has changed.
Yes, we've changed almost not quite every spot, but a lot of spots have changed.
Almost every corner
since
of the
we've
building
been here.
has
Yes.
changed. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I remember when we used to have a mini little yoga room hidden behind the locker room. Like, do you remember that?
What?
Before we did the
yeah,
locker
the
room
one-on-one.
expansion for the ladies' locker room, like we used to have like these hidden little spots. I mean, it's
The women's locker room renovation.
that was
That's probably
needed.
the name. Yeah, yeah, that was probably one of the major projects. But yeah, I mean, so much has changed. I think, you know, from, you know, even the staffing and some of the company structure has adjusted. Obviously, that's been completely different. But it's all been good.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to continue to evolve. So I guess just being on the forefront of that and staying ahead of it.
Yeah. If you're not evolving, you're not going in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. From like a building and a member perspective, we kind of talked about a lot of the things that affect them. But I do think in the last 10 years, I think the way we interact with the staff has changed a lot from what, you know, we did. I mean, you and I have always had, you know, phenomenal relationships with the Lippmans and with Matt specifically, and even with Les and Michelle when, you know, when they were here at Bal every day with us. But as we kind of evolved into our roles, we started wanting to make a point of reconnecting, right? There was kind of that time, especially COVID and things like that, where I remember you and I discussing very specifically that we felt like we got disconnected a little bit and we wanted to kind of get back. And right. And so to me, I thought some of the things that we've started to do with our teams, and this is good for the members to know too, is to share information more about what are we doing, what are we strategizing or planning for, even going into discussing like the lunch and learns and some of those things. So for you, like, what do you kind of see as some of the things that maybe have changed for the better with the way we interact?
Oh, I think All of those things are huge changes. I think that when you and I came up through this company, we had Matt.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. And we figured out a lot of things on our own and kind of went to Matt with like, hey, we should do this
Right.
or we should do that.
Yep.
And that's obviously what got us to the positions we are in now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that when we got to those positions, we realized, well, maybe people need more than just that.
Yeah.
Maybe they need a little bit more kind of these team building things, but these information sessions that are like giving a little bit more insight into the decisions that you and I make, why we
here's
make,
the why,
and how we think that these decisions can best help our staff, the building, the members, all of these things. And I think that being able to communicate, and I mean, we communicate nonstop now, honestly. I send emails to the managers probably every day, so much so that they're tired of seeing my name. But we Teams too. Everyone in the company has my personal cell phone number, so it's not like I'm ever cut off from anyone. And I just think that being open and asking questions and answering questions all day long really changes the employee experience. I do feel like even if we're not necessarily in the same building as anyone all the time, we have this like floating open door policy where like if someone has a question, they're not afraid to ask. And I'm not sure if that was always the case prior.
Yeah, I think there's because there's sometimes I think where we come up with something and maybe a really good question is asked, or and not in a negative way, but just saying, hey, like, well, why are we doing this? Give an explanation, and then I'll get feedback from a manager or someone say, all right, well, that's actually something I didn't consider. Like, let's pivot to maybe some sort of combination of that idea. And I think being able to do that, as long as that is the best version of the idea or the plan or whatever it is for everyone involved, is helpful. And I think just being able to be present, being available is always good, which you're right. We always had that access, but I don't know that was always, the collaboration of the lunch and learns and the information sessions and teaching them some of the decision-making process, I think helps on the regular of why things are getting done, right? As long as that information is being shared correctly.
I also think it helps make these three buildings much more of a community, and they work together differently than we used to. I mean, everything used to kind of be a standalone thing. There wasn't really a connection between them. I mean, there was an HR manager and an accountant, but like they kind of stood in the back. There was no one really focusing in on, okay, if Feasterville did this great, why can't we take that and do the same thing at Bala?
Yeah.
And now I think that with just being in the digital age, but as well as our meetings that we have for our general managers together or sales meetings or the lunch and learns, they are easily able to communicate between themselves and be like, hey, this idea really worked great for me, or I'm doing this shoe drive. Do you want to do it too? Like it's a lot more open to let them all succeed and learn from each other.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a good point too, that like the 10-year difference too, right? I remember the clubs being very different and more separated. I mean, we had at the point of the general managers, I remember I used to talk to the general managers all the time. But I feel like the clubs are more collaborative now than maybe they used to be. Which isn't always easy, right? Because they are very different. All clubs are very different, but that part has been good. All the changes, whether it's operational, it's administrative or it's operational, all the things that we're able to do, to your point, like if we decide or a pivot or a new idea, it really comes down to our staff and buy-in and them being able to do it, right? We need to explain it, give the why, and go through the game plan, but they have to carry it out. And so I kind of want to finish like talking about the staff, especially like some of our leaders. And like, is there anything you can think of that stuck out to you that our team or our employees have done that's almost like above and beyond to interact or create community with the members of their clubs?
I mean, I will say this of our managers and all of our staff, really, they are great with our members. Mm-hmm. Our members love our staff. That is one of the biggest drawing points we have to AFC, because our staff is so willing to go above and beyond for members. So I had a member pop in and just compliment Ashley and the Radnor team, just because she's always willing to help. Anytime he needed help, she was always right there. He was looking for a blue t-shirt because we usually give away free t-shirts, and he didn't have like the color. And so she got him a blue t-shirt, and he was really excited about that. And I know it's like such a small thing, but like that is part of the bigger thing, is making these small moments. Over in Feasterville, we have amazing silver parties. They will do potlucks. And actually here too, I shouldn't say that. In Bala, we have those too. They will do potlucks. They will all bring food and hang out after class. So they're getting their workout in. But then the instructors and the managers are really bringing them together to give them a great community feel. So they want to keep coming back. And for seniors specifically, I think that coming to a gym like this is one of the best things to keep them going physically, but also that sense of community helps to keep you going and elongate your life. So I think that's really great. I think I've seen, I personally have a personal trainer here who, despite me only working out with him once a week, will text message me workouts every day. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't need to do that. He's not getting paid for those texts. He's doing it because he knows that I will not hold myself accountable if he doesn't. Yeah. And that's how he helps me. And so I think that from our cleaners to someone like Berta, who has been with us for so long, or Patty, who's been with us a really long time, members love them because they are just so cheerful and always cleaning. But everyone from our cleaners right up to our managers is so willing to go above and beyond every day for our members to make the small things matter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's probably a story at every club. I mean, specifically thinking about that question to ask you, Brandy and the way she connects in Feasterville, I mean, above and beyond, almost every day with the way she's able to interact and connect with the staff there. Carlos and Annie, I think at Bala are just, I could probably go on quite a while about both of them and just the things that they do on their own to interact and connect with the staff. And obviously Radnor's, they're just at the forefront, like building their foundation of what Ashley and her team and Michelle do with their team and their staff over there. So I think that those connections and all, I think from those leaders really work their way down. And I have no doubt that Bob, he's beginning his process here and learning the team and the members here at Bala, and will continue that kind of just that history of Bala of just connecting with the members in that way.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, great.
All right. That wraps up another episode of Inside AFC Fitness. We'll see you at the next one.